And
Hello.
This is an interview for the 2015 North American Systemic Constellations Conference coming up in November. And today my guest is Dina Ostrovsky, who is doing a talk in the field of addiction, sharing the experience of running a family constellation programs in addiction rehab center. But first, Dina, everybody wants to know, how do you describe constellations to a stranger?
Yeah, this is such a question. And I think every constellator dream in the US at least dreams that you say, I'm doing family constellation, and people recognize what it is, and I hope to see it somewhere in the future. But yes, now every time you explain, and for me, I mostly work, this present moment, I work most of the time in a specific community. This is a community of Russian-speaking immigrants who live in the New York City area. These people came from former Soviet Union. So I usually tell them that constellation is a great method to work with patterns and blockages which come from the ancestry system, which is, I know, constellation, not only that, but that's how I introduce it. And also I start to talk about generational trauma. This story is all my community, these people who came from former Soviet Union and 20th century, there was just crazy. We had revolution, Second World War, Holocaust, Romanian genocide. There are a lot of nations. It's not Russians. It's a lot of different nations and huge territory. But everybody encountered huge trauma. So I start to talk how this trauma affect our ancestors 2-3 generations ago, and how we grew up in this atmosphere of pressure, of fear, and they recognize it because they know about it, and how it affects our kids. And I bring stories. I have my personal story. I came to Constellation because my daughter was stuck. She couldn't move through this trauma energy. I talk about people, I talk about women, like I tell stories. My recent story is a woman who came to me with a business question, not business question, with basically stories that she's starting a new business, exciting business, choice of her heart, great education, and pretty, practical business. And every time she think about money situation, she has a panic attack. No logical, no, her money situation, she didn't have that much pressure with money, so there wasn't any logical connection, and we couldn't find it till she told me that her choice of education was point of no return. And I'm like, what is point of no return? I can't understand that. And then we jump back into her Holocaust family story, when it was loving, strong, loving family, and they had a lot of, they all died because they had a lot of choices to run away, but they need to leave somebody behind. It was old grandfather or somebody, and they always made this choice of no return, never leave behind. And I'm still, it's a lot of energy in this story. And when we do a constellation, we look at this story, and when this woman was able to open heart and take her ancestor energy, things changed dramatically in one moment. The next time I told her, I took the critic role and say, I never make it with money. She thought, why? I'm so strong to have this love. So this is the real story, and it happened over and over in my communities. So that's what I present to people. That's what I tell.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that's great. Now, tell us about your upcoming talk. It's going to be Friday, November 13th, 10:30 to 12, in the field of addiction.
Okay. From 2011 and 2012, I had a great chance, to live in Costa Rica. and I worked there for holistic addiction rehab. Rehab was created by the team of enthusiasts who brought together holistic and Western medicine methods and created this modality to heal addiction. And I was one of the team. So it was a very interesting journey, actually. I don't have experience with addiction, and I never worked with addiction before. And we had another psychologist who was addiction specialist, and I was brought as this uh, alternative holder of alternative modalities. So I worked with family constellation, process work therapy, art therapy, nature therapy, many things. I think constellations was the most challenging in the beginning to introduce. Why? These people with addiction, first they were really shy and tends to bring their problem, even small description of problem, to the group. Then people with addiction, they have a lot of anxiety, not very much body oriented. So I'll talk about my tricks, exercises, my journey, how I introduce constellation to this community, what exercises we did before we entered the constellation, what kind of a problem we encountered when we did constellation, what kind of patterns we see, and how much it's different from the general crew we do constellation with. What did I learn? I also the exercises like what you do if persons even suggestion to look at the family system have clients have a huge rejection and it tells no. My family system is so disgusting, so awful for me. I don't want to even look at this direction. What you do with it can happen. What you do with trauma around, how you know, it's a lot of trauma and it was big. Sometimes it was big. I was very conscious not to re-traumatize person, putting, even playing the constellation in front of. So this will be my topics, and I'm very excited to bring it to community.
I think we're excited to see this. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's fabulous. Now, one other question that comes up from my my other constellators here is how do you practice constellations with self-care?
Mm-hmm. I do. I practice constellations with self-care. I can confess I mix this method with another method I work with, process-oriented psychology and body-oriented practices. But what I do, I have a friend who helps me, and I have the whole procedure how I do it. I put, like, as example, I'm looking at my business development process self-care, right?
Right, definitely.
I do kind of system constellation for myself. I put some ideas on a paper, what kind of ideas or what kind of directions.
Yes.
And then I create a constellation for which with the cheers. Yeah. And it's good. Sometimes I do it myself and I sit in a very chair and meditate and feel how would I feel it, what kind of energy in this role have, how it's related to other roles in the field. Then I move and I do this ritual, and sometimes I have a great insights, and it's even better if I have a helper friend. Then we can we can unfold the whole constellation together. And this is one of my practices which support me on my class.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That's a great idea. Super.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one more question. What are you looking forward to at the conference?
I'm looking forward to this conference. I'm looking forward to connect to other constellator community. I do connect. I'm I do talk to some of the, sometimes I talk to Ed Lynch, but not many, I don't know what's going on out there. I'm kind of sitting here in my Russian American community by myself, developing new practices, learning something new, but I don't have any ability to share with professionals. So I really needed to have a new fresh juice to share, to have this movement of energy between us.
Yes, yes.
I'm looking forward.
We all are. Yes, that's great. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And we look forward to your workshop. Again, that's Friday, November 13th, 10:30 to 12, in the field of addiction, sharing the experience of running a family constellation program in a rehab center. So Dina, thank you again, and we'll see you very soon in November.
Thank you for running this interview. I really, really appreciate this experience.
Great. We'll see you soon.
See
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.